The Caspian Sea is a body of water that, in more ways than one, serves as a bridge between two different worlds. It is situated on the dividing line between Europe and Asia. Its salt content, which is about a third of what you would find in regular seawater, is evidence that it was once a part of an ancient sea, and that it still retains its origin. On the other hand, there is no longer a saltwater channel that links it to the oceans of the world. There has been some discussion as to whether or not the sea in question is actually more of a lake than it is a sea on account of the distinctive geological characteristics that it possesses. This argument also has political ramifications due to the location of the topic under discussion. This is due to the fact that different legal regimes apply to the management of lakes and seas. In contrast, international seas are divided in accordance with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. This distinction is significant for the Caspian Sea because all 5 nations that border it are interested in gaining access to the sea's abundant natural resources. International lakes are divided among all of the countries that share their coastlines in an equal manner. Because of this, in 2018, the 5 countries that had been at odds with one another finally agreed on the Caspian Sea's official status. The history of the Caspian Sea is reflected in the one-of-a-kind qualities of the sea. Approximately 65 million years ago, it was a component of the ancient sea known as the Paratethys, which was connected to both the Atlantic and the Indo-Pacific Oceans. It is not the only body of water on the planet that can trace its history back to this ancient sea. Additionally, the waters of this region gave rise to the formation of the Black Sea, the Sea of Azov, and the Aral Sea. Because of the movement of tectonic plates, the water in the oceans was constantly shifting between fresh and salty states. The Earth was forced upwards about 5 million years ago, which resulted in a drop in sea levels, effectively isolating the Caspian Sea from the rest of the ocean. According to natural history, however, a flow to the ocean was re-established once again and then shut off around 2 million years ago. This occurred around the time that the flow was cut off. In modern times, the Caspian Sea is completely cut off from the ocean, in contrast to the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, which both still have oceanic connections. The Aral Sea is another example of a landlocked body of water that has been converted into a lake. The Caspian Sea still possesses some of the qualities that were present when it was an ocean. Its water contains 1.2% salt, it is large enough to generate waves, and its bottom is composed of basalt, similar to the seafloor, rather than the granite that is found on the continent. Because of its vastness, ancient peoples like the Greeks and Persians mistook it for an ocean, which is how it came to be known today. Consequently, this is also how it got its name. The Caspian Sea has the surface area of any inland body of water on the planet that is greater than 143,244 square miles, making it the largest body of water by this metric. A sea is typically understood to refer to a portion of the ocean that is partially bounded on 3 sides by land. It is abundantly clear that the Caspian Sea does not satisfy this definition. However, it is frequently referred to as the world's largest lake. On the other hand, it is not the largest freshwater lake in the world. Instead, Lake Superior is the freshwater lake that boasts the largest surface area, while Lake Baikal is the freshwater lake that stores the most water overall. One more thing that sets the Caspian Sea apart from other bodies of water is the fact that it is endorheic. This indicates that there is no outlet that drains water out of the Caspian, despite the fact that more than 130 rivers pump water into the Caspian. Although fresh water can enter, the only way it can leave is if it evaporates. It's possible that this is one of the reasons why it still has such a high salt content. 80% of the Caspian Sea's freshwater comes from the Volga River, which flows into the sea from the north. The Amu Darya, the Kura River, and the Ural River are some of the others that flow into it. Because these rivers drain into the lake from the north, the water in the north of the lake is significantly cleaner than the water in the south. At the present time, the coastline of the Caspian Sea is contested by 5 different countries. They are Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Iran, Azerbaijan, and Russia, arranged in a clockwise direction from the northeast to the northwest. Because the depths of the Caspian Sea conceal a vast quantity of valuable resources, All 5 of these countries are competitively vying for control of the sea. Due to the peculiar nature of its formation, a wide variety of specialized life forms have developed there. There are in fact 331 species that can only be found in its waters, and among those are 5 different species of sturgeon. The beluga is the most valuable of the sturgeon in the lake because it is the source of the world-famous caviar. The Caspian Sea is home to approximately 90% of the world's total sturgeon population. According to the Journal of European Studies, in recent years, the importance of a new resource has overtaken that of fish in the North Sea. This is partly due to the fact that fish in the North Sea have been fished too heavily. The resource in question is oil, which was discovered to be present beneath the Caspian Sea. In point of fact, they drilled the first offshore oil well there in the year 1820, and the oil and gas industry is now the primary economic driver in the Caspian region. It is important to determine whether the Caspian is technically a lake or a sea because of the presence of oil in the region. If it is a lake, then the body of water and all of the resources that are contained within it would simply be divided between all of the nations that surround it. But no international body would have access to it. If, on the other hand, it is a sea, then the law of the United Nations would govern it. This would mean that the countries that border it, as well as international oil companies, would be able to make use of it. During the time that Russia was still known as the Soviet Union, there were only 2 countries competing for control of the region, the USSR and Iran. The 2 countries came to the conclusion that it should be treated like a lake, and that they should divide both its surface and its bed. On the other hand, the former Soviet republicans won their independence in the year 1991. According to The Economist, the conflict regarding the status of the Caspian lasted for 20 years as a result of the addition of new interests to the fight. Because it has the world's longest coastline, Kazakhstan argued that the Caspian should be classified as a sea. This is important because sea surface and seabed rights closer to shore are distributed in proportion to the length of a country's coastline. Turkmenistan's goal was to construct a pipeline that would run across the Caspian Sea and onward to Europe. On August 12, 2018, the 5 countries surrounding the Caspian Sea got together to determine the region's status once and for all. Convention on the Legal Status of the Caspian Sea is the name given to the agreement that was reached between the parties. According to the terms of the agreement, the Caspian is a legal hybrid that combines the characteristics of both a sea and a lake. The following were some of the stipulations that were included in the agreement. The surface waters of the Caspian would be divided like a sea. Each country would control the waters 15 nautical miles from its coast. Fishing rights would extend 10 nautical miles farther out. The seabed, including oil and gas deposits, would not be divided like a sea. Instead, each country would work out control between the 2 relevant parties. Caspian countries would be allowed to build pipelines as long as they received approval from the country adjacent to the pipeline. As a result, the convention ensures that the Caspian Sea will continue to hold its status as a liminal space, one that evades easy categorization in the same way that its waves escape the grip of the sand.
Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.